For as long as I can remember, I've been listening to music, and over the course of my life, I've probably listened to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of minutes of music. So I've listened to a lot of albums, and recently I've been thinking about my favorite albums of all time. So I decided it would be a fun idea to give you all my top 10 favorite albums of all time, all genres, and go a little bit in depth about why I love these projects so much. And along the way, I'll also give you guys my favorite song from each album and why. So without further ado, let's just get right into it.
Yeah.
Joey Badass's debut mixtape is such a great record to me. He sort of finds himself trying to replicate the boom bap and classic hip hop soundscapes that were sort of popular in the 1990s and early 2000s, and he does a fantastic job doing it. When a rap album nails both the lyricism and production side, you just know you have a good project on your hands. And this is one of those projects. You have beats from J Dilla, MF Doom, and so many other talented producers that mesh super well with Joey's lyricism and the verses from all the guest features on this project. The chemistry between Joey and Capital Steez on all the records they have together is so natural and fluid. It's really such a shame that we lost Steez at such a young age. Not only is this project a classic in my eyes, it is an elite body of work that absolutely deserves to be on a list like this one, no questions asked. I love this song for what it brings from the inside and out. What do I mean by that? Well, if you just look at the song at face value, it's catchy, it has a great chorus, hook, production. It's a really great song with a really chill vibe as well. If you're someone who just wants to listen to some chill vibes and some chill music, this is the song for you. But if you dig just a bit deeper into the subject matter, you hear Joey talking about how he feels alienated or he feels like an outsider in hip-hop because he doesn't make hits for the radio, or even talks about how the government has sometimes failed the average American citizen. It's just some great subject matter on a great song. Remember how I was just mentioning how elite rap performance and production go hand in hand on a legendary album? Yeah, this is the one. Freddie Gibbs can quite easily be on an album by himself and be totally fine and actually make really great music. We saw that a couple months ago. But when he does decide to link up with other artists, he can make something truly special. From Rick Ross to Benny the Butcher, all the guest verses on this project come with not only high quality, but purpose. And props to The Alchemist for the production behind this album. Everything from the transitions on songs to the actual beats are phenomenal. This is just one of those albums that just doesn't lose any replay value for me. I could listen to this thing for days and be totally fine. Freddie and Rick Ross have a great rapport on this song, and that fantastic piano always draws me back to this track. Just a great one all around. Now look, I'm not gonna lie, way back in the day, I was definitely a Beatles kid. Now, I wasn't one of those people who, like, if I saw you with a Beatles show, I'd be like, oh, you listen to the Beatles? Name 3 songs if you're a real fan. But I was definitely a Beatles nerd back in the day. From a young age, I was given Beatles records by my grandparents, and just growing up with this music, it always stuck with me. So I knew at some point, one of these albums would creep up on this list. And Abbey Road is just an incredible body of work. It's not only become synonymous with pop culture, in my opinion, it's the best Beatles album. It's layered with controlled chaos all across the project, and ironically, it has a song that is sung individually by each Beatle, which ironically, for a band called the Beatles, isn't very common on their albums. And don't even get me started on the sequencing towards the end of this one. It's just some amazing stuff. And this album is just filled with timeless and fantastic music that'll be talked about decades upon decades from now. With the last few songs sort of transitioning in between one another, and then the end just being the end, kind of fits pretty perfectly. For me, there's more of a personal reason why I love this track so much. You know, this song sort of has so much positivity and joy to it. It almost feels like it wasn't created in a world we live in that is filled with so much negativity and derivativeness. It almost feels like a little bit of a beacon of light, or the sun, When I was 13, my grandfather passed away unexpectedly, and this song always reminded me of him because not only did he serve as a beacon of light for me, but he served as one for others. So not only is this an awesome song, it's helped me personally go through tragedy, and I'm sure it's done the same for others. Wow, dude, you have like the most famous rock and roll album of all time on your all-time album list. How fucking original. I know, but like the Beatles, Led Zeppelin sort of shaped a giant role in what I listened to as a kid, and this album just happened to be my favorite. The song types vary vastly on this project, yet they all seem to come together so well. At one point, you'll get a song like Rock and Roll with its rockin' energy, and then the next moment, you'll get a song like Going to California. Two completely different vibes that really tie well together. I mean, come on, it's Stairway to Frickin' Heaven. What more do I have to say that already hasn't been said? Whose world is this? For those of you that aren't new to this channel, you already know that Nas is one of my favorite artists of all time, and this just so happens to be his all-time album. Perfection from start to finish. I genuinely can't think of a much better way for a rapper to start their career like Nas did with Illmatic. I mean, the guy was able to sample Michael Jackson for free as long as he didn't swear, and he killed it regardless. This album absolutely deserves the constant praise it gets. This is a certified classic. I mean, he dropped this album when he was 20 years old. 20. I'm 20 years old, and my greatest accomplishment so far is probably getting a decent amount of views on a video where I just glazed Kanye albums for 20 minutes. And I mean, for someone who sort of got constant criticism towards the latter half of his career for not rapping on great or exciting production, this is definitely not one of those examples. 3 of some of the most legendary verses of all time over one of the best beats to ever grace my ears. The world is yours. For those of you who already watched my discography ranking of Tupac, you'll already know this is by far my favorite Pac album. Filled with so much emotion and showcase of potential, this album is phenomenal. Honestly, this project is sort of ironic because for someone who preached a lot about the thug life and being gangster, this project has a lot of raw cuts and vulnerability to it. All I can say is that there is so much more to this album than what appears on the surface. I've talked about this song in detail on the channel before, so rather than just hear me yap the same shit again, let's just rewind it to past me. With a hard-hitting beat and powerful lyrics, Lord Knows is a great listen that actually sees Pac dive into his depression a little bit. From drug and alcohol abuse to seeing his friends around him pass away, Tupac delivers a strong and powerful message about his emotional state that I sometimes forget when I listen because of how amazing the song production is. His debut album is filled with some of the most complex and thrilling instrumentals you'll ever hear in your life that are complemented really well by some of the guest vocals. This is an album that might seem a little bit out of most people's comfort zones, but if you're watching this video right now, please go listen to this album. I promise you will not be disappointed. From top to bottom, this is a flawless project that should be getting a lot more attention and respect. I feel like in this case, the music really speaks for itself. There's nothing I'm going to say in this video that will convince you more than hearing this masterpiece for yourself, so take a listen. Not only is this Michael Jackson's best-selling album, this is the best-selling album of all time in the history of the world. I genuinely don't know what I could say about Thriller that hasn't already been said. I mean, half this record could just be a greatest hits compilation. You know how crazy and insane this 3-song run right here is? Not only did MJ change the music landscape with this record, he changed the culture. He really brought music videos into the mainstream like no one really ever had before. Jackson treated his music videos like art, so people tuned in. In fact, MTV refused to play music videos from black artists before 1982, but after Thriller came along, they basically forced their own hand, had to stop being racist, and finally play some good music. Michael Jackson is a complicated figure in pop culture for many reasons, but there's nothing complicated about this album. An all-time classic. I mean, I just gotta have it at my disposal at all times. It's right there. A while back, I was watching a Michael Jackson documentary, for funsies, and one of the guys being interviewed basically said this song was bad because it was underwhelming. And this couldn't be further from the truth. Underwhelming because it went number 2 on the Billboard charts is insane. This is the reach of prime Michael Jackson. Number 2 was a disappointment in the eyes of critics. This duet between Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson not only showcases great vocal performance, but it has some fantastic production from Quincy Jones that has me hooked every time I decide to pop this record on.
And I wonder if you know what it means.
Kanye West has always been one for innovation, and he innovated the fuck out of his music with this one. From his classic choices of sampling to the synths that just shine all over this album. It's his most popular project for a reason. It's also the first hip-hop album I ever listened to when I was in middle school and made me fall in love with the genre, so it sort of has a little bit of a special place in my heart. Just like Nas, Kanye also sampled Michael Jackson's Thriller, and he actually broke it down live at Coachella in 2011. Just have a look. This album is such an undeniable classic with so many memorable moments and tracks that every time Kanye does something stupid, his fans always go, he made graduation, to the point where Kanye even acknowledged, yes, I made graduation. Man, I know this song like the back of my hand. Everything from the flows to the sample choices to the lyrics, it's just perfection. My favorite album of all time, Common put everything he had into this project, and it still gets underrated to this day. Common's vision, along with the executive production from Kanye, led to one of the greatest albums of all time, in my opinion. Almost every song has a deeper meaning when you just go past the surface level, from themes of home or discrimination to Common going in his storytelling bag to give us a banger about who really did the crime. All you gotta do is listen to the first 30 seconds of this project and you'll understand. That beautiful production from Kanye combined with Common's elite flows, it's a banger. It's a masterpiece, and I love it. Thank you all for taking the time out of your day to watch this. I mean, you took a valuable portion out of your day to watch some random shit I created in the middle of my room, so thank you. Your support, no matter if you watched, liked, commented, whatever, it's greatly appreciated. If you want to follow me on Twitter, the link to that's in my description. And as always, I will see you on the flip side.